Sometimes the channel becomes insanely popular not because of perfect editing, massive budgets, or crazy stunts. Sometimes it just explodes because viewers start watching someone's actual life unfold like a real-life TV series. Today, we're diving into the story of Petya, English, and Iris. If you've been scrolling lately, you've definitely seen them. But in this explainer, we are going way beyond those short clips. We're going to talk about who Petya really is, how Iris completely changed the emotional direction of his channel, and why millions of people are so deeply invested in their story. Why are we so attached to them? Well, it's a fascinating journey of culture, vulnerability, and basically a modern-day romance happening right in front of us. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of what's happening here, just look at this number. 2 billion views. 2 billion! And that's just over the span of about a year and a half. We aren't talking about a slow, steady climb. This is a massive, instantaneous connection with a global audience. But let's be real. Numbers are just numbers. The real question we need to answer is why. Why do people care so much about their relationship? What makes this specific couple so incredibly magnetic that we just can't stop watching? Viewers constantly wonder how a simple, everyday vlog turned into this absolute internet obsession. People are always asking, how did they actually meet? Why did they keep things like their engagement hidden for a while? Were Iris's parents against this whole cross-cultural relationship? And how did they survive living in such a tiny space together without going crazy? We are going to explore all of that, but I'll give you a hint right now. The secret is that they never try to be perfect. Every single upload feels like a mini episode of a drama you just can't turn off. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, a real-life viral series. Then, from Odessa to China. Next, enter Iris, the co-star. After that, the billion-view formula. And finally, culture, family, and connection. Section 1. A real-life viral series beyond the metrics. Let's get into it. Section 2. From Odessa to China. The protagonist's origin. Before we get to the romance, we need to talk about Petya, because his early life is a world away from the smiling, confident traveler you see on your screen today. Viewers see him as a relatable, simple guy, but his backstory is actually pretty intense. He started out in Odessa with a fairly wealthy upbringing, but right around when he was 13 or 14, his parents split up, the money vanished, and his life really derailed. He became this troubled, rebellious teen, running with a hardcore group of football hooligans and getting into massive street fights. Eventually, just chasing money, he went to the Czech Republic to do grueling manual labor, and that is where reality hit him hard. This is the turning point. Imagine being a tough guy from the streets and you find yourself physically exhausted, plastering a wall for barely any money, and you just break down crying. He realized his arrogance was totally empty. In his own words, his ego vanished. He simply refused to live that way anymore. So he goes back home, completely drops his toxic friendships, locks himself in a room, and treats learning English like a full-time job. We're talking studying 7 to 8 hours a day. Within months, that desperate, raw drive landed him a basic teaching job in China. But as crazy as that journey is, moving to China was just setting the stage, because what happens next changes the emotional core of his life entirely. Section 3. Enter Iris, the co-star. The meet-cute. So how does someone meet the person who becomes the center of their life and their entire channel? It feels like a romantic mystery, right? Picture this, a high-end VIP club in China. Now, Petya was super strict about fitness at this point. He didn't even drink. But a friend convinced him to go because the club was literally offering free entry and drinks to foreigners just to sit at VIP tables and act as background extras. Just to make the club look more international. By total coincidence, Iris had been invited for the exact same reason. Out of the whole club, they were seated at the exact same table. And what happens next perfectly shows you who Petya is. He notices some other guy at the table getting a little too close to Iris, touching her shoulders. Petya gets annoyed, and he literally just stands up and places himself right between them. Boom, move made. He was incredibly persistent. Honestly, maybe a little too bold for an 18-year-old, to the point where Iris actually hid from him in the club's bathroom. It sounds crazy that he didn't give up. He waited by the exit until 4 a.m. His awkward, relentless persistence actually won her over. He got her number and a goodbye kiss. But how do you go from a funny club story to a channel that millions can't stop watching? That brings us to Section 4, the billion-view formula, crafting the episodes. Viewers aren't just watching Petya, they are captivated by the energy between the two of them. So how do you turn that relationship into something that breaks the internet? The genius here is actually the simplicity. They focus on super relatable everyday situations, but they layer them with extreme cultural contrasts. Think about it, a video showing Iris eating traditional Ukrainian borscht, but using chopsticks. Or videos where Iris repeats these simple Chinese sounds that just sound hilarious to a Western ear. It instantly grabs you. We all understand small conflicts and relationship dynamics, and they show this natural friction perfectly. This is his golden rule for content. He believes you need to show your video to a million different people, grandmas, kids, and make sure absolutely everyone understands the joke. If it requires deep context, it's not going to work. The humor has to be immediate. Whether you are 10 years old or 80 years old, when you see a husband and wife playfully bickering over who is the boss of the house, you just get it. It transcends language barriers completely. It feels like you're watching a sitcom where you already know the characters. And he structures these mini episodes perfectly. First, there's always an undeniable hook, like Iris holding up a strange fruit and just shouting, "Small coconut!" You literally can't scroll past it. Then comes the fast-paced narrative. But the real secret weapon? The cliffhanger. He ends videos with an unanswered question or a visual puzzle, trapping your attention until the very last frame. But algorithms and hooks only explain the views. They don't explain the deep emotional attachment viewers have. Section 5, Culture, Family, and Connection, the core of the show. Because the deep soul of their show, the reason viewers are so emotionally invested, comes down to the friction of their family dynamics. Look at this stark contrast. In Petya's Ukrainian background, there's a traditional expectation where men lead and women handle domestic chores. But in China, that dynamic is often totally flipped. Women frequently manage the household and the finances, while the men are expected to cook and clean. So watching them navigate this, like Iris's mom naturally expecting Petya to start cooking meals and Petya flat out refusing because he's busy working, is fascinating. It creates this real unscripted tension that you just can't fake. Which actually brings up one of the biggest questions viewers have. How did a young couple who were just figuring things out manage to buy a massive $35,000 RV to travel across China? Petya had saved up exactly half, but he was prepared to take out a huge, high-interest bank loan for the rest. But then, Iris's family stepped in. And if you're wondering how her parents really felt about him, this reaction tells you everything. They simply gave him the money. In Chinese culture, the institution of family is incredibly strong. It seems that when you marry, you don't just join families, you literally become one family. Petya just calls them mom and dad. They didn't pressure him for repayment, they just truly believed in his project and their relationship. And when Petya finally earned enough from the channel, he proudly paid off his entire debt to them in a traditional red envelope during the Chinese New Year. It was such a beautiful, authentic moment of cross-cultural respect. So why do we care so much? Because Petya and Iris give us an unfiltered look at two incredibly different worlds colliding. It's not a polished Hollywood movie. We see their unscripted clashes. We watch Petya grow from an angry street fighter into this incredibly empathetic partner. And we follow their lives inside a house on wheels. It's an authentic journey, proving that love, humor, and frustration look exactly the same no matter where you are in the world. Right now, they are literally driving their RV clockwise around the entire massive country of China. They're only a fraction of the way there. As their audience grows and as we watch their relationship hit new milestones, you just have to wonder, what does the next season of this real-life series actually look like? Are they planning to have children? Will they settle down or just keep driving? One thing is for absolute certain, millions of us will be tuning in to find out.